would you say if I said that I could bring them back?
I guess I'd say I never thought of that.
Well, alright, hold tight, you might wanna stand back, because one small John is coming intact.
St. John forward, spitting out some more words, fully intact, jacked, ready to rap and attack. Small John on your lawn, living like a gnome, hit you with my lyrics like a bullet to your dome.
Tonight when he comes up here, he's either gonna kill or he's gonna suck. But there's no in between for Mr. John Forward.
Oh, well, I didn't know any of that.
Well, that's what I've been trying to say the whole time.
Welcome to St. John Forward Radio. I'm John Forward, doing a pre-record, not live. I don't even know when this is going to come out, so I'm going to keep it evergreen. I have no monologue prepared, but that's not going to stop me from rambling incoherently for 10 minutes. Maybe it will be shorter, we'll see. Just recording live on location at the luxurious Motel 6 in Moncton. We're shacked up here after doing a show at Studio 2 in Bathurst last night. Still a very long drive from Bathurst to Moncton. This is only saving part of it, but I guess it's a lot better than if we had to drive all the way back to St. John last night. But the weather was good, and it was a good room. I haven't been up to perform in Bathurst for about a year. Last time I was up here doing Nathan Dimitrov's room. It was a different place. I forget what it was called, but not a great setup. But I did pretty well. They enjoyed hearing me talk about my penis for 10 minutes last time, and I apparently that's what Nathan was hoping that I was going to do. But damn me and my deep well of having more than one joke to tell. But yeah, I did set with it was stuff that I've been doing lately about my teaching days, which I just did that one just because that was the most prepared one I have. That's kind of what I've been working on lately. I've done it a few times over the last couple of months, so I thought that would be a good option, but the audience disagreed. It wasn't a abject bomb or anything. I did okay, but it was still probably the worst set that I've had in probably since the summer. I don't know even specifically which set I compare it to, but again, like I didn't bomb, but I went up and I had some stuff prepared. I was gonna talk about the room and the situation, and I think the first thing that I said didn't really go as planned, and it threw me off, so I kind of had a weird vibe for the rest of it. I'm not sure how much that was noticeable or whether it affected things or not. I came up and I had a stupid thing where I was going to say in French, does anybody not understand English? Because it was very French up in there. There was a French podcast going on when we arrived. I could understand the gist of it, but I wasn't sure if there was anybody that was going to be staying for the comedy show and just struggling to understand the English the same way that I was struggling to understand the French. So I was hoping at least one person would chime in that they didn't speak English, and I was gonna say, well, too bad, Frenchie, and it would have been hilarious. But when I asked if anybody didn't speak English, it was silence. And I said, well, I was gonna say this, and that's never as good of a joke. And I had some other stuff that I was gonna say about there was some old ladies in the audience earlier that left after giving Nathan a hard time for taking one of their chairs that they didn't use. There was a weird sign for a comedy festival behind me that I was gonna comment on. But no, first thing didn't work, so I panicked and dove right into the material. And it was okay. I got smatterings of laughter at certain points, but there was lots of dead zones where they were at least paying attention. Mostly there were some people talking at the back, or that might have just been I could hear people making their orders at the bar because of the deathly silence in the rest of the room. But I had my moments, and there was a few people that people were very complimentary and enjoyed it. or at least half of the compliments were because I was standing next to Sam Laidman, and they came over to tell him how much they loved his set, and they saw me there, and I'm like, oh, you were pretty good too. And which I'm not sure if that's better or worse than I've also been in the situation where I haven't done great, and they come up to the person, like I'm talking to one of the other comics on the show, and they come over and start gushing about that person's set, and they don't even make eye contact with me when I'm standing right next to them. That's painful too. But anyway, I don't think I have anything further to say about it. It was a fun show. I think they would have probably enjoyed a dirtier set from me, so I'll have to come back up with some different material. Like, again, it wasn't an abject failure, but with the high John Forward standard that has been set by me over the last couple of months, it was a bit of a disappointment, but it was still fun. They didn't hate me. Like I said, I'll come back and I'll talk about my penis for a bit, and they'll enjoy it more. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna. That one, we're only 6 minutes in. I've got nothing much else to say. I might as well just introduce my guest so we can get rolling. The aforementioned Sam Laidman, crawling back from Toronto.
It's a superstar Toronto comedian, Sam Laidman.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry, sir.
Yeah, you had to learn somehow. It's okay.
Yeah, and I'm also very very sorry that you had the indignity of going on before me on the show, when clearly you were the big shot from the big town, and you had a better set than me. So again, Mr. Laidman, I hope that you'll forgive me, and just I want to just make you like I'm very happy that you're appearing on this show with lowly podcaster and comedian John Forward. So thank you very much for taking some busy time out of your day to talk to me and my listeners.
Well, I just think it's important to share my wellspring of knowledge with this more remote kind of comedian. There's a lot this community could learn from a guy like me. So I thought I would do a service.
I appreciate
I'm going to be teaching comedy classes.
Sign me up.
The corner of Union and Waterloo.
Okay.
Basically, whenever I wake up, I'll go down and just start telling people jokes. And
fair enough. I'll be first in line. But one lesson I learned last night, there was that you'd mentioned that usually the shaved side of the head ladies don't appreciate.
They
your
don't
material,
usually like me.
but,
No.
One of them came up to you and was very complimentary,
Mm-hmm.
and then she looked over at me and said, "Yeah, you were good too, but you were more slow and mellow." I'm like, oh, okay. So, which is basically like, you were okay, but not as good.
Yeah, well, comedy is like a cockfight, right?
Yeah.
So you gotta. It's more about raw aggression and assertiveness more so than any kind of nuance, because chickens don't know nuance. So it's a lot like that, especially when you're up in Bathurst. Those are some dumb chickens.
Yeah, so my style was a bit slower than light. So let's hear Slower Than Light by Fu Manchu, and we'll be back with superstar Sam Laidman.
Superstar Toronto comedian.
And that was Fu Manchu with Slower the Light off their album Clone of the Universe on St. John Forward Radio. I'm here with Sam Laidman.
That's superstar Toronto comedian Sam Laidman.
My apologies.
That song was pretty good, but if it was a Toronto band, they might have came at it with a little bit more excitement, a little more dynamism.
Okay.
So it's just a hint for Fu Manchu if they're listening.
Yeah, I'm sure they are listening. They'll
Yeah.
at least get notified that this song showed up on my YouTube channel, and they'll get all the statistics for my views.
Well, they better listen to my advice.
Well, they certainly should. So, superstar Toronto comedian Sam Laidman, you're back in town for a little while. Why don't you tell us a bit about all of the knowledge and experiences that you've gathered in Toronto?
Well, I headlined the Rusty Nail Pub.
Nice.
I headlined Gwendolyn's Aromatic Coffee Shop and Cafe and Cafetorium. And I headlined Glenn's. That's a place that sells eggs. It's not even really a restaurant. They just sell eggs. I've headlined...
Cooked eggs or just raw
Just,
eggs?
either. Anything you want.
Okay.
But yeah, there's nowhere to sit and eat it. You take your egg, you leave, you get out of there. But I headlined there. I headlined the 7-Eleven on Bloor and Danforth.
Nice.
That's one of the most popular 7-Elevens
I've heard
in
about
the whole
that
city. It's the best one.
Their floors are a little bit less sticky than the rest of them, I hear.
And their selection of Coca-Cola products, second to none. They even have the cream soda, the Barks cream soda.
Wow, the clear cream, none of that pink garbage.
People come from all over the country to that 7-Eleven.
Okay.
So I'm just saying I've done a lot since I've
So,
begun.
and by headlining, do you mean that you've been like number 43 on an open mic?
I went last. That's what headlining means.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeesh.
So like, was your name on the marquee out front?
It's more subdued than that. Toronto doesn't get all in your face with it because they know you're coming to Toronto to see some comedy. That's why people go there. It's a comedy mecca. They don't need a marquee. They know you're coming.
Right. So
You know what you're getting.
Sam Laidman presents the best of comedy.
Oh no, I don't present anything. I'm not.
Okay.
That's for the old folks. You know, nobody gets into promoting because comedy's going great.
Okay. So what would you say would be the main difference between the Toronto scene and the lowly St. John and surrounding New Brunswick areas?
Well, you get to go up a lot more, and so you get really good really fast, as you saw last night.
Yes.
I would say just talent-wise, it's at least 700% better, if not 800% better, just because you get to go up, you take your 5 minutes, and you do those same 5 minutes every single day, 2 or 3 times a day even.
For months even.
For years, some people.
Okay, that's a really good way to tailor your bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, like
It's called a tight 5, John. I don't know if you know about tight.
No, I have a loose blown out 15.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's looking like your bumhole, your comedy.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I was supposed to do 15 last night. I probably rushed through it. I skipped over a couple of parts by accident, some on purpose.
And that's because you didn't drill it over and over and over.
It's true. I've done it like 4 times in 2 months for me. And in New Brunswick, that counts as drilling it over and over again. That set killed with no microphone in the vegetarian cafe that I did it on Wednesday. But
Maybe you should go back there, John. Because the fine folks of Bathurst were not having it.
Well, they can tell the difference between a St. John, New Brunswick comic and a Toronto superstar like yourself.
It's true. Most people can.
Yeah. So, I can see the 700% difference. You did the same set that I saw you do last time that you were in St. John several months ago.
Wasn't it tighter?
You didn't use the weird intonation that you used to use. I appreciated that, where you were very grandiose. You were talking in more of a normal speaking voice, which I think helped the material much better.
I don't know what you're talking about, John. I've always been very good at this.
Oh, for sure.
I need a puff. You're stressing me out.
This Motel 6, they're going to give me the vape tax.
They
Hopefully
probably
they
will.
aren't listening
They're
to
gonna
this and
say,
charge.
it smells too good in here. John couldn't have been here. It smells like delicious candy, not a sweaty small child.
Well, while I'm thinking of it, since like money is no object to you, since you're a superstar Toronto comedian, but instead of just holding the credit card for charges, they actually ran through my credit card and charged me $200, and I need to remember to bring the receipt down so that they can give me a refund.
They
on
wouldn't have done that
before
to
we
me.
leave.
They wouldn't have done that to me.
Yeah, no, you would have just told them a couple of zingers, and that would have been worth $200 to begin with. They would have paid for it out of pocket if there was any vape damage to the walls.
Yeah, I would have just brought up the orange. You glad I didn't say banana? I wrote that one.
That's a true classic, and
Everyone knows it.
It's true. Yeah, and that's probably you probably got a good head start on things in Toronto. Like, oh man, it's the orange. You glad I didn't say banana guy. We got to put him on the headline at 3 a.m. in this laundromat.
The bars close at 2,
Oh, okay.
so it was 2 a.m.
Okay.
And everybody was
So you
very
went on
drunk,
at
so they were extra appreciative.
1:57.
It's 2 a.m. It was last call.
Right.
They
Well,
let
yeah.
you stick around after last call for a little bit.
Okay, so yeah, so they put you
That
on.
157 spot's pretty good though too. I don't know if you could have gotten it, but
yeah, that's a pretty sweet spot when you're in there when you've got 3 minutes of the place is actually still technically open time. That's the ideal thing.
yeah, I like doing it after the doors are locked because then it becomes more of an exclusive thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you don't want any riffraff just coming in to see some classic Sam Laidman material.
Yeah, I mean, as good as I've gotten, I still want to keep to my punk rock roots. You know, I don't want to. I'm no sellout. Okay, superstar comedian Sam Laidman is no sellout. Okay, let's just get that. Let's make that clear to the folks at home. I'm still the same superstar Toronto comedian Sam Laidman that I've always been.
Yeah, well, you're just letting out your inner superstar now that you're in
A superstar Toronto comedian.
Sorry, you're letting that's always been in there, but you didn't want to be too good and outshine everybody here in New Brunswick. And
I just didn't want people to give up. You know, these are my friends. I want to still see them coming out to the shows.
yeah, we definitely appreciate that because if,
I mean, Brian Godsoe's just hanging in by a thread. If I went out there and trounced him every day, he probably would stop doing it.
If
and then
you
what?
gave him the full Sam Laidman superstar Toronto comedian treatment, Godso would be just
this
crying.
is amateur hour. This is really.
It's
So
just
one more time, try it. Can you get my name?
superstar Toronto comedian Sam Laidman.
Thank you.
I mean, I just again, I am so grateful that you're making this appearance
Oh, you're welcome.
Here live to tape at the luxurious Motel 6,
Yeah, if it was up to me, I would have booked a much nicer hotel,
like a Motel 7 maybe.
Super 8 even.
Yeah. Well, this was the cheapest one that wasn't super sketchy. The other option
This
was
isn't super sketchy.
No, this is pretty good actually.
Did you see the breakfast?
It's a continental breakfast. You get muffins and croissants and bad coffee and I had some Fruit Loops.
When I think continental, I think like from around the world, like maybe some Scandinavian pickled eggs, some couscous, so whatever the Africans eat, I'd have some of that too.
I think it means just this continent, and all we eat are muffins and tiny cinnamon rolls.
Maybe that's what you do, bro.
Well, it's true.
I expect a little bit of bacon.
Fair enough.
Because I bring home the bacon.
Cooked
and then I
products
eat the
usually
bacon.
is not part of a continental breakfast. That would be a full-on breakfast.
I think you and I have different understandings of the word continental.
Well, fair enough. It's better than the last place that I stayed in Moncton. It's called the Glory Inn, and
The glory hole, more like it, you queer.
come on now, this is campus radio.
This is Toronto superstar
safe.
comedian Sam Laidman.
Fair enough. but,
Classic zingers.
This is still a safe space. And,
Oh, nothing's safe when I'm around, baby.
All right. Well, I'll have to bleep that out because it's too much.
It's in the LGBTQIAAP.
It's true.
That's
Yeah.
what one of the Q stands for.
Okay. So when you called me a queer, it wasn't like
I just thought that you don't identify.
I'm a little bit
traditionally?
strange, and that's kind of technically the definition.
Wow,
of
so
queer.
now you're calling the LGBTQIAAP strange?
You're
If anything, you're the one making it
You're digging me
unsafe.
into a hole here.
If anything, you're the one making it unsafe here.
Yeah, it's true. I'm gonna get thrown off the.
I was in Toronto for a very long time, so I have become inwoken. I'm inwoken.
That melting pot of just a whole different experience.
They call it the San Francisco of the North for a reason.
Okay, that's not Sussex.
No, surprisingly.
Okay. All right. Well, let's take a break. Do you want to set up the better song that you picked?
Yeah, it's much more dynamic. It really sounds like maybe he's a Toronto rapper, but no, he's actually a New York guy. But they're pretty similar. ZZZ Top by Aesop Rock, one of the best lyricists in the game.
All right. Let's hear it.
Cultivated moment of distress, composed themselves enough to artfully carve so in his desk. They was probably thinking fuck you in their head, with a hellbound arm and an acid wash, homemade curfew, 1,000 o'clock in the pot. Tattoo his friend did drunk like a badge of mystique that would technically suck. Taking the name of the father in vain on the way to the blade in his locker was strange. A switch he lifted from a sibling skibby drawer who branched off into ninja stars and never knew his shit was sharp to hear with a higher purpose and a prime alert to juvenile berserkers like crochet Moors in an arcade drop floor, counting a Valentine from his off my watch. Capital Z, slowly maneuver the yo. That's the most difficult to control. Finally, yo, into the eye of Goliath you go. That levy crushing percussion will pull the monkey upright. 12 or ghetto blaster, black or technical or telecaster. Lecture at a faster rate than class was making him develop backwards. It would appear you've spelled out all the answers.
How you feeling? Telling me, feeling like something important. Stop screaming. You telling me, feeling like something even more important. I'm right breathing. Something you should probably try being. And they ask how you living. You tell them you living like something important. God hissing. You tell them you living like something even more important. I'm right giving. Something you should probably try willing.
Cultivated moment of distrust, composed themselves enough to magic markers Zulu on these chucks. They was trying to do the buckle font from Renegades of Funk in a 3D frame of exploding brick and whiz lines for the local emotion sick Biancos, but evoke the host of ODIP where social neurosis on the whole strip. Heart of a cat with a lark in his mouth and a mirror avoiding his guardians out. Flashlight, chisel tips, milk venom, pistol grip. Images relocated from milled vellum to scissor kick. Silent agreement in hand, king of the hill for a queen of the damned. She in the doorway, see them again. That clean white pair with a 3-year plan. Capital Z, radical you in the cut. Truly the beautiful Elizabeth up. You when he done, collateral damage of future alum. That key to Shambhala, planet rockin' bambada, sample chop. Churning out a cancer, but a vandal squad. Analog, anti-foams, animated colors on a page like synthesized cultures on a stage.
How you feeling? Tell them you feeling like something important. Stop screaming. You telling me feeling like something even more important. I'm right breathing. Something you should probably try being. And they ask how you living. You tell them you living like something important. God hissing. You tell them you living like something even more important. I'm right giving. Something you should probably try willing.
Cultivated moment of resolve, composed themselves enough to publicize the zeros in this stall. They were scoping every dog and pony previously scrawled with a festering hate for the gumdrop edge. Disco sucks, T-punk's not there, but a transient teen unsung godsend via 3 barcodes and a mugshot grin. Son of a runaway tone in the face of authority, thumbing its nose, cutting its teeth, pretzeled up in special order vinyl, and birds that dip their belts in middle metal porcupine quills. Too Dutch at a show in the front, low key to the camper, smoking a buck, tricksy bitch in the her lipstick up when his mitts got bit by the mischief bug. Snatch, capital Z, terribly in vermilion red. Give me an R, O and a slippery S. Over a web of the shittiest bands that beat your heart out, never bleach your favorite parts out. From a learned curve, a bird fingers bursting out of germs, burns urgently, offered through the circuits of an earlier plot. I'll see you at the bottom, ZZZ top.
You're listening to 107.3 local FM. Eat a bag of dicks.
You could do better than that. You gotta give them the full title.
This is
You gotta tell people who you are.
This is Toronto comedian, superstar, Nobel laureate, prize winner, Sam Laidman, 107.3 local FM. Check it out. Eat a bag of dicks.
I can't say eat a bag of dicks on the radio.
Yes, you can. You just probably shouldn't say it in the station ID.
Yeah, well, I was going to cut this out and reuse it again at another point.
All right.
We'll figure something.
You're not listening to 107.3 local FM. Eat a bag of dicks.
Okay, I think that covers it.
All right.
So, we're here with, let me get this right, superstar Toronto comedian Sam Laidman.
That is right. Thank you.
Mr. Laidman? Okay.
It took you long enough, but...
So you obviously were immediately successful up there, but what kind of experience, like, because I hear it's kind of a hard rude awakening for some lesser comedians that might have been kind of a big deal in their hometowns, and then they go up to the big city and find out that they're not quite as good as they thought they were. What would be the experience that you saw some of the lower ranking comedians go through?
Well, see, Toronto is a comedy mecca, as I've said. So when you have the choice between, probably thousands of comedians, at least 8,000 comedians, if you're not in the top 10, people tend to not give a shit. So I am, just by the grace of God, I managed to make that top 10 pretty quickly. But if you're in the lower echelons there, it's you don't really get people's ears, Even if they're in the same room as you, they tend to not want to listen. So when you might be on an open mic with, say, 40 comedians, and if you're going 37, 38, 39, you better hope that Toronto superstar comedian Sam Laidman is in that number 40 spot, or else people are not sticking around for you.
Yeah, I've heard it's really cool of you to wait around and really help out the show like that.
That's why they call me a headliner, baby. I wouldn't be a headliner if I didn't go last.
Yeah, because it's kind of a slog. I've been through in bigger cities and done some of those monster open mics that drag on for 3 hours, and each person that goes up, the audience dwindles and dwindles and dwindles. But when I did it, you didn't have the benefit of everybody knowing, like, when's Sam Laidman going up? When's Sam Laidman going up? And they stick around, and I'm sure that's good for the other comedians to have an audience, and I would like to thank you on behalf of all of them.
Yeah, it's not only they have an audience, but they have something to aspire to. When you see greatness, when you catch a whiff of the sulfury tones of greatness, it gives you a reason to wake up the next morning and do it all again. Because you go, one day I could be that.
So you were probably raking in the cash and living in a mansion on the hill or something. But
in the housing markets, it's tough up there. It's tough.
Yeah. So what's that like, going from living in St. John, New Brunswick, where you can get a decent apartment for $3 a month, to Toronto?
Well, usually you had to sleep on a floor.
You guys started out in an Airbnb, I think. I think that was the plan.
Yeah, we always just stayed in Airbnbs.
The whole time?
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that more expensive than having a regular apartment?
When you book it monthly, it's not really.
Okay.
It ends up about the same. And then you don't have to worry about bills or anything. So if I get booked up in like a Iqaluit or something, I'm in high demand in the territories.
Where's Iqaluit?
Iqaluit. You are so not worldly.
Is that in Ontario?
It's in Nunavut. Oh my God, John.
Did you go up there?
Yeah. And that's why the Airbnb situation's nice, because if I need to go away on tour to the Northern Territories for a month, It doesn't matter. I can just come back to wherever I need to go.
So, were you and Matt staying in Toronto, or were you in one of the suburbs?
Well, we stayed in Toronto for the first 2 months. The first month that we were separate, then we were living in the Lower East Side, which is the fucking place to be in Toronto. I would know. I'm basically from there at this point. They made me an honorary citizen of Toronto.
Okay.
So the Lower East Side is the place to be. Leslieville, the Beach Village, all that area. It's great. Then
It's more bumping than Uptown St. John.
It's honestly like a really fucking big St. John. I kind of like it. It doesn't have that arrogant downtown vibe. It's more, more down to earth. But there's still like at least 6, 7, 8 mics in that area, per week.
Okay.
Unlike in St. John, where you gotta wait a month to go on some stupid no jokes barred thing that nobody's gonna show up to.
Fair enough, and it was canceled, rightfully so.
Yeah, I think you really earned that one.
Yeah.
But then we ended up in York. That was where I was getting to with that. Never go to York. Oh my god. It's not really a suburb. Technically, it's part of the six communities that make up Toronto, but it's probably the shittiest one.
Is York separate from North York?
Yes,
Yes,
it is.
One? Okay.
Two different things.
When I worked for the trucking company, we had some deliveries in North York.
You got to be careful around North York.
Yeah. Well, yes. This geography talk has been great.
Well, the people need to know if they want to become superstar Toronto comedians as well.
Well, were you exclusively a superstar Toronto comedian, or did you make the trip out to do any shows in the surrounding areas?
Well, it's the greater Toronto Hamilton area now, which is I think pretty cool because it incorporates my homeland, Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I didn't do that.
Okay.
Did not do any of that.
Yeah, well, that's because I had heard. I think last time I went to one of those Darren Frost swindle the local comedians for $20 workshops. Not that it's a swindle;
Typical.
It was worth it.
I'm going to be doing my workshop for free, corner of Union and Waterloo.
Yeah, right in front of Top's Pizza.
Whenever I wake up Sunday morning.
Fair enough. But he talked about when he was slogging it out and having to drive like an hour and a half over to Hamilton or something, and then going to one in Ajax, and then all whatever nonsense. So I guess he didn't have a car, so that's more difficult.
It is. But there are a lot of Toronto comedians who don't get up to my level of headlinerness in Toronto, but then once you travel to the outskirts, you become a beloved headliner type figure.
Yeah,
so
well,
Toronto's
you
a tough
were,
cookie to crack.
You were probably like in a James Mullinger type situation where you were probably planning on being out there and having to tour around and drive a couple hours to do gigs, but you were just so high in demand in Toronto proper, you might as well just do shows there and not have to travel.
Yeah, I got this great bit about how they have recycling pickup there, and we don't. I thought that was very funny.
Well, that's a whole new world. Like,
yeah.
But they do have that in Fredericton, I think.
Shut
Not Mr. Laidman, I apologize, but you're dropping a lot of F-bombs.
That was one. It was one F-bomb.
There was a couple.
I don't think
throughout the episode.
I don't think there were.
And let's not forget the eat a bag of dicks situation.
That's not. You can say that. There's nothing wrong with saying that.
Well, that's true. As long as it's humanely sourced bag of dicks.
No, they weren't though.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, then I'm not sure. I'm not sure what to do. This might need to be an online exclusive. It's so extreme.
The people will not have it.
I don't know who's listening to this show live. Anyway, they say up to 1,500 people are listening at sometimes.
That means up to 1,500 people turn the dial past it at one point.
Yeah, I don't know how you even get rankings. Well, I asked somebody, and they do like a Nielsen ratings type thing where they just send out a survey, and they're like, do you listen to campus radio? And they say yes. And like, okay, you count for 500 people.
Holy shit. So 3 people said yes.
I don't know. I'm not sure how it works, but I've never been contacted to ask which TV shows I listen to or what radio shows I listen to.
Actually, I filled out that survey once. They gave there was a toonie taped to the thing, and I don't know why I filled it out because I could have just taken the toonie and not done it. But well, I'm a noble guy. Yeah,
that was when you were still in your lowly roots as a St. John comedian, and you take a toonie, and that's worth. You don't want to just take that.
That's rent.
Yeah.
That's rent in St. John.
That's true, but yeah, now that you're a Toronto comedian, you got no time for the niceties of common society.
I don't need to give you your ratings a boost.
So when you're in Toronto, was it mostly open mics that they had you headlining? Was there how hard is it to get on book shows?
I don't know, because I don't like asking people for things. I like to wait until they come to me.
Well, fair enough. That's much more noble.
Yeah, it's pretty noble. I'm a pretty noble guy. Yeah, I pretty
what
much
you're saying-
exclusively headlined open mics.
So nobody came offering, and you were too good to ask.
Well, they knew I was too much the punk rock ethos that I'm trying to put out here.
You cut an intimidating figure.
Yeah, so they wouldn't want to do that.
So by comparison, I could probably ask him directly whenever he comes into town. But were you and is Matt Keenan also a superstar Toronto comedian, or was he still slogging it out?
He's working his way up. He's got a couple book shows on him.
Okay.
Couple. One at the 120 Diner. He's never played Glenn's Egg Store, but he's done the 120 Diner. And
well, in that case, I imagine they probably, since you were too intimidating to ask directly, maybe they just get Matt Keenan in as kind of a way to get in with you. Maybe Matt does
connections.
Goes home and tells superstar Toronto comedian Sam Laidman, "Hey, I did this show and it's not too bad. You might consider letting them offer you a spot sometime," that kind of thing.
I think that's what they're up to, actually. They're trying to, it's all about who you know in Toronto. And I don't know anybody by choice. That's how I like it. Matt, he's more of an open book, so they might be trying to use Matt to get into. I think
Sam
you assess
Laidman
that
business,
situation.
Yeah. So I'm
pretty well.
picturing. Did you watch the show I'm Dying Up Here?
Yes. Yes.
Were you guys like the two dudes sleeping in the closet together?
Well, except he was in the closet and I was in the queen size bed with the duvet and everything.
Covered in cash, probably.
Yeah, rolling around in it.
Okay. That's what I thought. So let's take another musical break. Let's do let's do Slammin', because that's what you did to those mics up in Toronto by The Comet Is Coming on St. John Forward Radio. We'll be back with more Sam Laidman. We're back on St. John Forward Radio. So it's been a tumultuous couple of months since you've been away. Since you left, they Yuck Yucks decided, well, we don't have Sam Laidman to do unpaid 5-minute guest spots anymore, so we might as well call it quits. And No Jokes Barred at the R Bar.
And imagine if I let them pay me. Because they wanted to pay me for those, but I was like, no, keep it in the business.
Yeah, well, and that bit of charity that you were offering them was what kind of kept them
extended
afloat.
their life.
But and No Jokes Barred at the R Bar. The owner was like, "Hey, when's Sam Laidman coming back?" And I'm like, "I don't know. He's a big superstar Toronto comedian now." Oh well, no point in doing this anymore.
That sounds about right.
So is Toronto all abuzz about No Jokes Barred getting shut down? It's probably
there was a lot of
probably
talk.
big news in the comedy community.
A lot of talk. People were pretty broken up about it. They said I was going to go to New Brunswick, but now why even bother? I mean, Chuckles Comedy Club, what is that? I want to go to No Jokes Barred.
Yeah.
Work my type 5.
Right. So how did you first experience the news? Did you see my sad announcement where I just copied and pasted the Yuck Yucks announcement and changed a couple of words? I don't think many people noticed that that's what I did, and they thought that it was genuinely sappy. I don't know if anybody picked up on that. I assumed that the Yuck Yucks shutting down thing, it was shared all over the place. I thought that was more of a common reference that didn't need to be explained, but
I didn't get it. I don't know if I saw it, though.
Well, I said something about, no, I'm sad to be here, and the Yuck Yucks once said that, great comedian Mike McDonald referred to it as one of the best clubs in the country, and it changed it. A great comedian Mike McDonald would have said never heard of it if he was asked, or something or other. But
no, I missed that one, I think. But yeah, No Jokes Barred, the R Bar. That was home turf for so long.
Yeah.
I'm so sentimental about it.
do you have any R Bar memories that you cling to on those late Toronto nights?
Well, I think I was pretty amazing early on. So, like, my first couple shows where you're just starting to learn that you are an amazing comedian. Those were some of the best. I got to meet a lot of cool people real quick. I don't know. There's a lot of dirty, dangerous stories associated with the R Bar, but I think when I'm around, it's a little more calm, cool, and collected there.
Yeah, well, everybody just wants to pay attention. You don't want to give them the full force, so you've got your piece of paper out, so just to temper it back a little bit.
Well, you need the paper, so people know that you're a down-to-earth guy.
Yeah. Were you on any of the shows where there was any rambunctious regulars or anything that had to be contended with?
My very first show, a young man from Newfoundland became very upset about a pedophile joke, I believe, and that got a little heated. Nothing physical, nothing outrageous.
Was he a pedophile or a pedophile-y?
I think it might have been a bit of both, maybe. It's hard to tell exactly.
It's a cycle that's hard to break.
It's actually that's just true. That's a sad truth.
That's true, and that's something that No Jokes Barred was always trying to combat. Throwing out all of our pedophile jokes just to tell society that we're not okay with pedophiles.
Exactly. You want to hit them with the laughter, but then you want to hit them with the sad truth so that they walk away a better person overall.
Well, No Jokes Barred's always been a message show, so strongly anti-pedophile or pro-pedophile, depending on what the funnier angle is.
I like that. I like that you want to get important messages across, but you're not going to tell me which one.
Yeah.
If one day I feel a little rapey, maybe I'll do a pro-rape joke. If one day I feel like maybe the ladies deserve a little respect, I'll do an anti-rape joke or a prison rape joke.
Yeah.
Balances it out. I like that.
Well, and part of it was a little bit, we want to identify the bad people, and we see if we do like a rape joke or a pedophile joke, we see who laughs. We take pictures of them and send it to the police so that person can have an eye kept on them. That was, that was kind of the situation at No Jokes Barred. I think going forward, I think the audience really dwindled off because our audience just kept getting thrown in jail because they were obvious pedophiles and rapists.
A lot of people don't know that this was a community service you were doing.
Yeah, but we served the community too much, and the R-Bar decided that they no longer wanted to scare off the pedophiles and the rapists, so they wanted to bring them all back in, open
Typical
arms,
R-Bar.
and have them sing some karaoke songs in before or after, or sometimes during their sexual deviances.
During, that would be a sight to see.
Yeah, that's probably happened on stage.
I think we
before.
need a reunion show.
That's true.
I mean, it's only been shut down for a month, but I think it's time.
Yeah, well, maybe do another parking lot show when the weather warms up. That was fun.
Get the rapists out in full bloom.
Well, maybe. You know what? I think maybe that's the issue. Maybe going forward, no jokes barred. Maybe we should tap into the non-rapist crowd. Do you think?
Oh, it goes against the message of the show.
Right. Oh, fair enough. So was there a big rapist contingent in Toronto?
Oh, you betcha. Like at least one per show.
Fair enough.
Yeah, people really like that live rape. They love talking about rape. Then I just stand there with like a Scooby-Doo human-sized butterfly net, and you just catch them and you hold them there until the police come. That's pretty common in Toronto. You wouldn't know that, but it is.
Yeah.
It's usually how it goes.
I'm thinking this episode might have to be online only.
I think maybe.
I don't know if this can be salvaged
It's
for
too
campus
edgy.
radio.
Too edgy.
Well,
they can't handle me on college radio.
I started paying a bit extra on the Podbean so that I had a bit more space so that there could be bonus content such as this. So I might as well take advantage of it.
I wouldn't call this bonus. This is core content. The radio stuff is bonus now.
Well, yeah, but I don't know if the radio can handle it. So
We will
this is
break
too
people's
extreme,
radios.
and you don't want too many people listening to the radio show all at once because that might tap out like the radio signal. Like
It's true. They'll spread it too thin.
When that's why the internet companies need to like throttle like torrents and Netflix and stuff. I don't think we have the mechanisms in place to throttle the radio usage, but I think if too many people turn the radio on, the whole the radio transmitter will just explode.
It's possible. I mean, the signal, if less people listened, it might make it out of the east side of St. John, and that would be something.
Yeah. It's not even on the east side of St. John, Sam. I know you've been out of town.
It's whatever side it is.
It's north/Milledgeville. I don't know. I think you can pick it up in most of it. They had a signal boost.
Well, you certainly can't pick it up in Rothesay.
No, I've never attempted.
Well, that's because you're poor.
Fair enough. I'm not allowed in Rothesay.
Rothesay.
Rothesay. What is it? The GPS says it really weird too. I forget how they pronounce it.
Rothesay.
Yeah, something weird. Rothesay. I don't know. Hilarious.
I would love to live there.
But the rich people, they've all got computers, so they can stream it on localfm.ca.
That's true. They won't, but they could.
Oh, fair enough.
Especially if I'm not going to be on the air.
Yeah. So we've got like 8 minutes left in the show. So what's your future plans? You're back in New Brunswick for like a month.
Give or take, yep, for the holidays anyway. And then I'm heading out to Calgary, expanding the brand westward, much like the early Europeans, so I really identify with them.
So do you got anything, what are your plans for New Brunswick? You're on the Comedy for a Cause show tonight at Chuckles. That will be over with by the time this comes out.
So get your tickets, kids.
Yeah. Travel back in time and get your tickets for a good cause with Sam Laidman and Shane Ogden and Mark Splood.
Who are these people?
Oh, they're just some locals. You wouldn't have heard of them.
Yeah.
But the main event is superstar Toronto comedian Sam Laidman. And word of mouth is really getting along. They didn't put it on the poster because they didn't want to sell out too quick. Mm-hmm. They wanted to give everybody the opportunity.
Well, it would upset the kids if they knew that there was potential to sell more tickets and they didn't.
Yeah,
all those kids, they need presents, and we can only give presents to so many of them.
You're such a draw that they had to keep it completely word of mouth. I don't even think it mentions your name in the description for the show.
Because it would just become like a StubHub situation, Somebody would buy up all the tickets and resell them at a premium. We didn't want that. We wanted the real comedy fans out, the real St. Johners.
Yeah, well, and I think from the description, I think they had hired some promoting company to put that. And from what I can tell, I forget the name of the company, but it seems to me their main service is putting a lot of emojis in the Facebook event description. So
well, that's what the kids like.
For that.
You wouldn't know that because you're not in the loop like I am.
Yeah, fair enough.
But basically, you just say what you want to say. And then you put a bunch of those the purple dick looking plants. That's how people know it's gonna be saucy.
Yeah, lots of laughing emojis tells everybody that it's
See, the laughing emoji
show.
is good, but it's kind of implied when you say comedy. What you really want is the purple dick plant.
Yeah, fair enough. And if you're making a really good point, put the clapping hands in between
every word.
Yeah, that's how people talk.
This is going to be the best show you've ever seen in St. John.
I always pictured it when I saw the clapping emojis. I pictured a double clap, like a full, it's going to be applause every word. So
no, that's not
you have putting emojis on your statement makes it more
that's not true.
exciting and profound and important.
It's every word. You messed it up. See, it's okay. You couldn't have known.
What happens.
You couldn't have known better.
I'm in St. John, New Brunswick, doing comedy.
How many emojis do your posts have?
0. I don't think I've ever had a post with an emoji in it. I'm just way behind the times. Grandpa Forward out there with his emoji-less posts.
His emotionless comedy.
Minimal hashtags.
My goodness.
Unbelievable.
This is why your pedophile trap, no jokes barred, failed.
Probably.
Not enough emojis.
No, yes, we need definitely the next post that's going to come up. I need to get on that. I need to make an event post for Uptown Comedy Deluxe this Friday. Or, well, I don't know when this is coming out. It'll probably, I don't know. It may have been last Friday, December 7th at O'Leary's, 10 p.m. We're in the back room this time. We're not in the upstairs. If you see a Christmas party going on, don't just start telling them about your penis.
Or do.
And,
they might like it.
Yeah, I don't know. And No Jokes Barred will be making its return at Foundations, the most exclusive comedy club in town, December 15th. Sam, you said you were moving to Calgary. Why Calgary, and what's the plan for there? If you learned everything that Toronto has to teach you.
Well, the West Coast has, they're a little bit more conservative over there.
Is Calgary considered the West Coast?
It's the West Coast, yeah.
Right on the water.
Yeah. Once you get past Saskatoon, you're now on the West Coast. Do you not know geography? Do you need me to
How long of a drive is it before you get to what is the ocean over there? The Pacific Ocean?
Clearly you don't know your geography.
I do not.
Yeah, it's a couple hours, maybe 7, 8, couple.
Oh, that's pretty close.
Yeah. So it's the West
Coast.
Right
on the coast.
Right on the coast, just over some mountains and then onto the coast.
Did they have a big comedy scene in Calgary?
No, but that's why I need to go there to help it thrive. That's what I do. I'm kind of a fixer of sorts.
Well, would Calgary be bigger than St. John or Halifax?
Well, obviously,
probably?
yes. Everything is bigger.
Yeah.
Come on.
Okay. So yeah, you've got a job lined up, or you're doing something where you work remotely anyway. Does that continue when you move out there?
I don't know. I have no idea actually. That ends on the 14th, so I'll get my last pay on the 30th, and then I'll be unemployed, and it'll be fun.
Yeah. Well, you can always get another job at McDonald's.
Yeah, I'll just go back to Glenn's and get that sweet egg money. So. Yeah. If I have to. I mean, I'm kind of done with Toronto. I think I've exhausted. I've learned everything I can learn there. So now I'm going to the West Coast. That's what they call it in Calgary, is the West Coast.
Right.
To learn how they do the more conservative, the more traditional Canadian family values comedy. That's what I'm looking to learn now. That's my next step.
Okay. Yeah, so that should be good, and I wish you all the luck. Is there? We don't have much time, but did you learn any lessons from working at McDonald's in Toronto? Is it different than working at a McDonald's in New Brunswick?
I don't know, because I ain't playing that shit. But working at McDonald's in Toronto.
I used to work at McDonald's.
It's I worked the overnight shift, so I didn't have to serve customers until 6 hours into my shift, and I couldn't even focus.
Were you Superstar Toronto McDonald's janitor, Sam Laidman?
Yeah, I cleaned stuff. I stocked some shelves, which I think the people ordering didn't actually look at what was in there already. So a lot of times it was like I was kind of like a Tetris kind of Jenga master, which is very applicable to comedy. You got to force some shit in where it doesn't belong. Comedy, rape, McDonald's stockroom, all kind of have that in common. You got to force some shit in.
Okay.
So I learned a lot there, I think, about forcing things on people.
All right.
Yeah, I think that's about what I learned.
All right. Well, again, I just want to thank you, Superstar Toronto comedian, soon to be Superstar Toronto/Calgary comedian, Sam Laidman.
I'll still be at Toronto.
This has been St. John Forward Radio, usually live Monday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on localfm.ca. You can catch all the back episodes and the extra-sodes and all that in the podcast section on johnforward.com.